You're at a conference with a colleague. After spending the whole day in meetings and sessions, you're looking forward to going back to the hotel room you're sharing with them. The event is taking place at a historic hotel located within the walls of Old Quebec, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You feel really fortunate to be able to enjoy the stunning views of the St. Lawrence River from your room. But after a long day, all you want is a good night's sleep. Your colleague, however, is hoping to experience something else. She heard the hotel is haunted and wants to encounter a ghost. You want none of that. As you enter room 8273, you're already creeped out. The hallways feel airy and empty, so you're very happy to enter the safety of a large room with 2 double beds and a small hallway connecting the bathroom and closet. You shower, tuck yourself in for the night, and fall fast asleep until something wakes you up in the middle of the night. You can hear your colleague snoring peacefully from the other bed, but you can't open your eyes or speak. Paralyzed with fear, you hear a presence coming down the hall. It sounds like it's dragging something, like a bad leg, behind them.
They saw the silhouette of a man walk by the fireplace, and then when they looked at him, he just kind of vanished.
I'm Nadine Bailey, and this is Haunted Canada. Join me as we visit one of Quebec's most haunted places. This is the story of the Château Frontenac. Known as the Castle on the Hill, the Château Frontenac is located in Old Quebec, within the historic district's Upper Town. It is about a 30-minute walk from the Plains of Abraham and overlooks the St. Lawrence River and the fortified city, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Opened in 1893, the hotel looks like a French castle and was one of the first grand railway hotels built across Canada in the late 19th and early 20th century. Named after Louis Dubois de Frontenac, a French soldier, courtier, and governor-general, the building is asymmetrical as it spreads out from a central fortress-like tower to mainly sharply pitched roofs and turrets which surround a central courtyard. It has 18 floors rising 260 feet, topped with copper roofs, and is built from warm orange bricks that came from Scotland and were used as ballast in ships as they crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Château Frontenac is reminiscent of medieval castles found throughout France's Loire Valley, and until 1930, it was the tallest building in Quebec City. The hotel has been expanded 3 times and contains more than 600 rooms and suites. The interior has mahogany paneling, coffered ceilings, marble staircases, crystal chandeliers, all of which allow the hotel to receive its guests in a pleasant, elegant, and refined atmosphere. Sir William Cornelius Van Horn, the president of the Canadian Pacific Railway, commissioned the hotel that has become a distinguished downtown landmark. Affectionately referred to as the beloved icon of Quebec. The Château Frontenac was built where the home of the Governor-General of New France once stood. As I mentioned earlier, it is named after the man King Louis XIV appointed twice as governor. Louis Dubois, Count of Frontenac and Palou, was born May 12, 1622, at a castle in Saint-Germain, France. He was part of the French high nobility, having Louis XIII as a godfather. Frontenac was educated in the best Jesuit college in Europe, then followed in the family footsteps and joined the army at a young age. He began his military career in 1635 at the age of 13 and would go on to serve with distinction in various campaigns, including under Prince Friedrich Henry of Orange in Holland, and he saw action in the Low Countries and Italy. Having entered the French army at a young age, he participated in several campaigns of the 30 Years' War and rose through the ranks quickly, becoming colonel in 1643 and brigadier general in 1646 at the young age of 22. He didn't achieve this without injury. He suffered a wound that permanently mutilated his right arm. When he was not in the army, Frontenac remained at the king's court, where he lived a very extravagant lifestyle and was deeply in debt. While there are portraits of Frontenac, historians believe he had a rather uninviting appearance. He was a small, wiry man with a wide forehead, long, thin nose, hollow cheeks, and a narrow, pointed chin. In spite of his looks, in October 1648, he secretly married Anne de Lagrange, the daughter of Lord Trianon and Neufville, a wealthy master of requests. She was renowned for her beauty, which can be seen in the Palace of Versailles, where her portrait still hangs. She was known for being imperious, with a sharp and biting wit. What made her all the more appealing to Frontenac was her fortune. While her father was wealthy, she stood to inherit a considerable inheritance from her mother's trust when she came of age. Her father was adamant that she was not to marry Frontenac and went as far as to lock Anne in a convent to prevent it. When he found out that she had married against his wishes, he disinherited her and prevented her from her mother's estate. Against all odds, the couple married and had one child, a son. Francois Louis was born in May 1651. Without Anne's wealth, Frontenac continued to have money problems. To help mitigate the financial stress, he accepted the appointment as Governor General of New France and effectively blocked his creditors' attempts to seize his properties. On June 28, 1672, Frontenac sailed from La Rochelle to New France. His family did not accompany him, but he ensured that his salary was paid directly to his wife, and in turn, Anne used her influence at the French court on his behalf. Over the next 27 years, Frontenac would become one of the most turbulent and influential figures in Canadian history, best known as the architect of French expansion in North America and the defender of New France against attacks from the Iroquois Confederacy and the English colonies. By the fall of 1698, 76-year-old Frontenac's health was failing, as he was suffering from asthma and his strength began to slowly slip away. As the year came to a close, he felt the end was near and began to calmly prepare for it. On November 28, 1698, Louis de Bouade, Count of Frontenac, died in Quebec City and was buried at the Recollet Church. He left specific instructions that his heart was to be removed from his body, placed in a decorative box, and sent to his wife Anne in France. When Anne received her husband's heart, she refused to open it or accept the box and had it returned to New France. Brian Baker is the author of Eerie Whispers, and he says almost 200 years later, Frontenac is still seen walking the hallways of the world-famous hotel that bears his name.
Now, he died long before the Château Frontenac was built, but he is tied to New France, and that's where, his history is in Quebec City. So obviously he just doesn't want to leave. And you have the ramparts there, and you have the Citadel down the street, so in View Quebec. So that whole area is still pretty much familiar, to the Count if he's still making the rounds. The Count allegedly haunts. There's a tall man that's been spotted either by the main floor fireplace, as well as throughout. There's been one experience shared in the ballroom where I remember the staff witnessed a man in historic garb and of course, mistakenly like a historical reenactor.
The Château Frontenac was partly built on the ruins of the Count's former home. And when it first opened in 1893, staff and guests reported seeing him walking around, sitting on ledges, and floating throughout the ballroom. At the time, it was the epitome of modern luxuries, including central heating, electricity, and a fireplace in each room. It was meant to encourage tourism and travel along the lines constructed by the Canadian Pacific Railway, and over the years, the hotel has hosted royalty and many famous dignitaries, including King George IV, Queen Elizabeth II, Charles de Gaulle, and Charles Lindbergh. Brian said it also attracted Hollywood elites, including Princess Grace of Monaco and Alfred Hitchcock, who filmed part of the film I Confess in the hotel.
There's the Hitchcock suite, of course, where Alfred Hitchcock stayed at that suite back in 1952 when he filmed I Confess in Quebec City. So that on its own kind of has a nice macabre kind of feel to it. One of the chambermaids got locked in a closet, could not get out until somebody showed up a couple days later. She did not die.
The Hitchcock suite is located on the 6th floor, which Brian said is known for its negative energy. This is where the majority of the unexplained phenomenon can be found. Guests have claimed they've heard disembodied voices, unusual noises, and a general sense of unease. I should note that the Hitchcock suite is one of those locations, and it could be because it is one of the hotel's largest turrets and only accessible by a winding staircase, which adds to the isolation and privacy. The room is decorated with memorabilia, including movie posters, photographs, and even a vintage television from the 1950s. Brian said, part of what makes the iconic hotel such a hotbed for paranormal activity is that travelers coming and going create a portal.
When you have a lot of people like Charles de Gaulle and Hitchcock and other people staying at the Château Frontenac, you'll get that energy behind, of course. There's so much energy in hotels. So many people stay there that are, whatever's going on in their lives, and it's one of those kind of connecting points where people come in and out. It's almost like it's a doorway, a gateway, really. Kind of, you stay there, a little piece of you stays there, and then you move on.
I should note that as I was putting together this episode, I reached out to representatives of the Château Frontenac to help me piece together the official story. In the past, they've hosted ghost tours that dove into the hotel's haunted past and allowed guests to explore hidden areas, giving them a story to remember. However, they declined the offer, and it's something Brian said is quite common.
Fairmont properties are always somewhat tight-lipped when they're talking about stuff in the open. Some will do kind of ghost walks or tours of the hotel internally and kind of be able to control their narrative and story there.
That doesn't stop guests and staff from believing Count Frontenac is the spirit most often associated with the hotel.
The Count himself being seen on multiple occasions. One story featured as the fireplace where a couple was sitting in front of it. They were a honeymooning couple from Boston, and they saw the silhouette of a man walk by the fireplace, and then when they looked at him, he just kind of vanished in front of them.
Guests have also seen a woman roaming the corridors in a long white nightgown, and that she randomly picks a room and waits until people are asleep before she makes her appearance. Scared guests have woken up in the middle of the night to find her watching them. They have said she looks sad and that she disappears shortly after being spotted. However, there have also been times when she's tried to climb into bed with frightened guests. Some of those who have experienced this phenomenon then shared their stories on TripAdvisor, like the guest who stayed in the Roosevelt suite and claimed to feel a presence shortly before seeing a man passing by the living room. Another guest, staying in room 8273, woke up in the middle of the night to a presence walking down the hall and the sound of something dragging, which caused every hair on their head to stand on end. Trinity Gagnon wrote about her experiences 5 years ago when she was 14 or 15 years old. She had begged her parents to stay at the hotel for her birthday because she loved ghosts and everything paranormal. Trinity said her mom asked the front desk for a supernatural experience, and the hotel recommended a specific room. Although she couldn't remember which, but that it was at the very top of the hotel in one of the towers. Brian said the upper levels are known for this.
And there's some activity on the 17th and 18th floor with regards to voices being heard. You can get up to the 17th floor through the regular elevators, and then there's another elevator down the hall that takes people up from the 17th to the 18th floor. And 1803 is reported to hear ghostly voices. When staff members have investigated, there is no one in there.
Now, what Trinity claims is a little different. She said her family checked in, and then along with her stepdad, stepsister, and mom, they ventured out for dinner. Once they returned, they went searching for a shadow or a disembodied voice. Instead, they walked around the entire hotel reading about the history and just had a good old time. But after 2 hours, she returned to the room disappointed and went to bed. The next morning, Trinity woke up to find her mother looking back at her, frightened. She was sitting on her bed across from hers, and she said that Trinity had sat up in the bed in the middle of the night, said something unnerving, then laughed like a witch, then went back to bed. Trinity had no recollection of the event and had no history of sleepwalking or sleep-talking. It made for a great memory and something that her family still remembers and talks about to this day. If you're one of the lucky ones to have experienced something unexplained at the Château Frontenac, you'll know that as the dawn creeps over the copper roof, any trace of terror will dissolve by morning light. The corridors, however, will remain alive with whispers and footsteps from the unseen. Whether it's a shadowy figure in historic garb, the woman in white, or the disembodied voices, know that some ghosts of the chateau are real, and for those who have experienced them firsthand, they will stay with them long after they've left. Thankfully, they're not known for doing any harm, but you may still want to keep your feet under the covers and hold onto the blankets extra tight. Thank you for joining me as we explored the historic and haunted Château Frontenac, and thank you to Brian Baker for talking with me for this story. Haunted Canada is sponsored by the Edmonton Ghost Tours. I will link it in the show notes. You can also check out my YouTube channel, Haunted Canada. Haunted Canada is written and produced by me, Nadine Bailey, with senior producer, Dila Velasquez. Production and sound design is by Rob Johnston, with help from Rosalind Kufer. If you would like to support this podcast, please follow and share, and we would also appreciate a 5-star written review. Also, you can follow me on our different social media platforms, or if you have a ghost story, haunting, or true crime that you would like for us to cover on this podcast, please email me through the website hauntedcanada.com. Thank you from all of us at Haunted Canada and Curious Cast. Have a good night, everyone, and stay haunted.